What's up, guys? HellaBass here, Rich Linger, and today I want to talk about the Neko Rig, or the Neko Rig, or the nail-weighted Senko rig, or whatever you want to call it. But I think everything's been covered pretty good, but I got a few things that I do want to show you today that are a little bit different. Maybe little tips, maybe some different ways to think about it that may shed some light on making you more comfortable. So I think we're all pretty used to fishing or seeing a lot of videos about the Neko Rig fished on 6, 8, maybe 10-pound line, finesse fishing, spinning rods, which is a great way to fish it and a great way to get bites. But I don't think you always have to do that. At the end of the video, I'll show some fish catches from Guntersville, getting a lot of quality bites, fishing it on a baitcaster on 12-pound line. So kind of a little bit of a, I don't know, mag Neko Rig. So my rod of choice was a 7'4" medium heavy Dobbins Extreme 743. You know, any kind of 6.5 to 7 foot rod would be great. Something with a nice tip on it, so you can cast it because it is kind of a light bait. But the one thing I liked about the Neko Rig, and I kind of learned this when I was down there, is that you can vary the weight that you're putting in there to be a really light, nail weight, kind of like these little tungsten nails or a lead. Varying weights. There's lots of options. You can use screws. There's a lot of things to weight. You can get really finessey, or you can, something like this 1/8 ounce Dobbins makes some nice, kind of weights like that. Come a nice little package, a little bit heavier. Got some really nice barbs on them. A good option, but you can kind of almost power fish it. It's like a power fishing wacky, almost like the kind of the jig wacky, the inchy rig Senko, but you get different action, different look than the wacky rig because it falls, tail down. And it kind of spins. It's almost like the hybrid of a shaky head and a wacky rig together with the Neko Rig or the kind of the nail rig. So you can actually fish it and flip it along and cover water pretty quickly with a bait caster on 12-pound line or 10-pound line with a slightly heavier weight and still get a very finessey, unique approach that triggers a lot of bites and quality bites. So this one here is rigged on maybe like a number 1 or number 2 VMC weedless Neko Rig hook. I kind of got a unique band system on this one. So it's actually this really like clear band from Arsenal Tackle. I'll show you how that works. And I like that because they go through a lot less stick baits. I use a variety of them. I got some Gambler Aces, I got some Yumdingers, I've got some Senkos. So let's talk about this part of it here. A lot of us are used to the O-rings, which come in a lot of different sizes. Some of these, if you have a narrow enough end like on a dinger, you don't really even need the tool to slide it on there. You can get it up on there, which is a lot better than doing nothing. But I like, the rings are a little bit limiting. I like to be able to hook, sometimes with like right through true wacky, and you almost have to hook it parallel to the bait or kind of off kilter to really leverage the O-ring. So while it's still better than nothing, check out this other option here, which is this Arsenal tool, which is a tool like this, little pliers, kind of almost like a skirt tool, but a little bigger. And they have different size, I don't know, it kind of looks like some kind of surgical tubing. But these little clear, kind of translucent tubes. And you can see, when you put it on a bait, it almost turns the color. You can barely even tell that it's there. So you just slide that over the nose of this, right? Open that up. Take your stick worm, position it where you want it. And now the one thing you're going to want to do here is you kind of really want to get it where you want it on the stick bait, because once you let it go, this is really difficult to slide. So, if I'm fishing a Neko Rig, I'm probably going to put it like 1/3, 2/3. If I'm wacky, I want to be a little closer to true center, kind of depending on what I'm trying to do with the worm. So I'm going to be a little bit, just slightly off center. So you slide it on there. There you got this bait positioned, and as you can see, you can kind of inch it a little bit, but it's pretty difficult, and you might tear your worm, and it stays really nice in place. From that point, you can hook it. You got this nice solid band. You can hook it through the band. You can sneak it under the band, which is a lot more secure than the O-ring, and it actually is pretty weedless that way, right? Because you got this kind of the worm kind of blocking the tip of your hook. Still get pretty good hookups with that. You can get as much or as little as that bait as you want. You can try to hook it through the band this way, but it tends to split it. But if you come through the band this way, try to show you this, like right through it, like you're going to wacky style it. That is probably the most secure way, right? You're getting the hook through there twice. You're getting the meat of the plastic. It's a really solid way to rig a wacky or a Neko rig. And then, you know, you figure out what kind of nail you want. You can go super small. You know, for nails, I feel like they slide right into the end of the worm. Sometimes you want to flatten that off so you can get a, all right, you can just push that in the end. And then you kind of got that nail weighted action. If you're fishing a little heavier, like I'm suggesting, and you're kind of semi-power finesse fishing, right? And you go with a bigger one like this Dobbins 1/8 ounce one, sometimes your softer stick baits will want to, I'm going to flatten that out so I can get good contact here, will be a little difficult because that nail will, you know, especially in like true Yamamoto Senkos, will want to kind of fly out when the fish is fighting it, because now you got like this solid here and this is flopping around, and that will want to pop out. One thing you can do is take yourself a dot of super glue and just touch that right where that worm kind of meets that head, and when you push it in there, that will pretty much lock it, and you will lose the worm before you lose the weight. Now, this is not foolproof. You are going to lose some worms, you're going to lose some bands, you're going to lose some weights. That's kind of the thing with wacky worms and Neko rigs. But if you're catching quality fish, that's all that really matters. So I hope you found some, you know, useful tips here. Kind of touched on the high points. It doesn't always have to be finesse. You can kind of power fish it a little bit, you know, a little bit bigger hook.
Look at that jammer.
Weedless, a little bit larger weight, a stronger band. 10-12 pound test on a bait caster will work. Now, this isn't all the time. Sometimes you are going to want to go super finesse and fish deeper and light line and super clear water, but that's not always the case, especially in the spring right now when those fish are up cruising, they're looking, they're hungry. I think you can get away with a little bit more power, cover a little more water, and get some quality bites along the way. So hopefully you've enjoyed this. And if you like this video, hit like, subscribe, hit the bell. More quality content on bass fishing tips and techniques coming your way. Thanks.